If you find yourself feeling more tired than you feel like you should be, if you're not sleeping well, or you're just constantly wired but exhausted, there's a good chance your body is under more stress than you realize. It's not your age, it's not your genetics. What it is, it's your environment, and it's because of light. And more specifically, it's the kind of light that you're surrounding yourself with all day, every day, without even thinking about it. You see, most people have heard about blue light and how it can affect sleep. But what most miss is how deeply blue light affects your hormones, your nervous system, your blood sugar, even when you think you're doing everything else right. And it does that by disrupting your circadian rhythm, the internal clock that tells your body when to be alert, when to recover, and when to do thousands of other things. That clock helps coordinate thousands of processes in the body. And when that clock is out of sync, so is every single function in your body. And once you understand this, a lot of health issues suddenly start to make a lot more sense. So in this video, you're going to learn how blue light from modern indoor lighting disrupts your circadian rhythm, why that quietly raises cortisol and blood sugar, and what simple changes you can make to change the signal your body is responding to so you can sleep better, so you can lower stress, feel more regulated without drugs, supplements, or complicated routines. I'm Dr. Bill Berkowitz. I'm a chiropractor with over 40 years of clinical and advanced training in functional medicine. And my work is built on a simple idea. The human body is designed to express health when the conditions are right. I work with men and women in midlife who are dealing with low energy, poor sleep, brain fog, weight gain, and frustration with a system that focuses on managing symptoms instead of restoring function. I help support people rebuild their metabolism, restore circadian and nervous system rhythms, and realign with the biological environment that the body actually needs. You see, you can't heal in the same conditions that created the problem. This channel is about returning to biological truth. Subscribe to my channel if you want to learn how metabolism, hormones, light, timing, and daily environment shape your health, and how small practical changes can restore energy, clarity, and vitality. Health is simpler than you've been led to believe. First, I want you to understand that this video is not about being afraid of light. It's not about avoiding technology or trying to live perfectly in the modern world. What it is about is understanding how your body takes in information from the environment and why light is one of the strongest, maybe the strongest signals that it responds to. When you understand that, the solutions stop feeling complicated. They're practical, they're reasonable, and they're easy to apply. So let's start with how the body is actually designed to use light. Human health is clearly on the decline. One need only look at the rise of chronic degenerative diseases, from cardiovascular disease to neurodegenerative disease to autoimmune disease to type 2 diabetes, to realize that this is evident. Something's happening, and it's driving individual and population health down. So what can we do about it? I mean, if you look at it, most people who are over the age of 40 are on multiple prescription medications, but there isn't a drug deficiency. You don't need blood pressure medication to function. Chronic degenerative diseases are becoming increasingly common. I've already listed a number of them. Why are they coming so common? What's happening? Well, the majority of these diseases are lifestyle related. They're not genetic. The dramatic rise in chronic disease over the last 100 years proves it's not a genetic issue, it's epigenetic. And this rise in disease parallels the development and refinement of artificial light. For the past 100 years, we've been exposed to increasing levels of artificial light before sunrise and after sunset. And prior to 100 years ago, that didn't happen. This is a aberration in human history. Now we spend more and more of our time indoors. This again is a dramatic change. And when we're indoors, we're under indoor artificial lighting. What is it about that lighting? Well, modern lighting uses a very narrow spectrum of wavelengths. It eliminates infrared. It eliminates red. It eliminates ultraviolet. And it highlights the blue spectrum of light. You see, when the sun is out, it is always emitting a full spectrum of light, rich in red and infrared wavelengths. And the body evolved to receive full exposure of light. Now we use a very narrow frequency or wavelength. We use weaker light. And the most dominant lighting indoors is LED lighting, and it's heavily weighted towards blue wavelengths. And those blue wavelengths have very specific effects on the body. It looks white, but it is blue. And sunlight is never rich in blue light to the exclusion of other wavelengths. So when that blue light hits our skin and our eyes, we have receptors that process that. And those receptors signal the production of hormones and neurotransmitters and thousands of other chemicals. And that light syncs our biological clock. That's what we call our circadian rhythm. You see, humans have evolved to live in rhythm with the cycles of lightness and darkness. And that lightness and darkness cycle resets our clock, or should reset our clock, every single day. We are designed to have a daily interaction with the sun. And the sun produces full spectrum light, and that releases powerful hormones and peptides that affect our health and well-being. You see, light isn't just about vision, it's information. It signals and coordinates all the functions in the body. There are receptors in your eyes that have nothing to do with vision. These receptors, especially in the eyes, send messages to the central clock in the brain that's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or the SCN, that coordinates all the timing in the body. It sets that internal clock. It affects thousands of body functions. And these signals influence the release of hormones, and it influences the timing and coordination of the activity of our nervous system. This is critical to health and well-being. There's also receptors in the skin that respond to light. And these skin receptors help signal the production and release of hormones, peptides, neurotransmitters. What, you might ask? Things like alpha melanocyte stimulating hormone that produces melanin, ACTH that results in the release of cortisol, beta endorphin, which is that feel-good peptide, which is why we're addicted to being in the sun, and of course, vitamin D. These are all critical, and they are essential in the response to light exposure. And these responses are not consciously controlled, they're automatic. That's what a healthy circadian rhythm should do. The body operates on an internal clock, on an internal circadian rhythm. And that needs to be set every single day. And it's a 24-hour cycle. So we need to see the light in the morning. We need to have darkness at night. It syncs our clock. It helps coordinate every single body function. And it's regulated by light exposure. And this circadian rhythm helps determine when the body's alert. It helps determine when it should produce hormones, neurotransmitters, enzymes. When should it rest, recover, heal? These are cycles that happen every single day, and they're dependent upon the circadian rhythm. And we've thrown it off with our use of internal artificial light. It influences cortisol levels and our stress response. It influences blood glucose regulation. You see, blue light stimulates the release of cortisol. That causes a rise in blood glucose. That stimulates a secretion of insulin. This is the pathway to diabetes. I'm not saying this is causing diabetes, but this is all inappropriate and mistimed. You see, we should have cortisol high in the morning, and we should have melatonin rise in the evening. And that coordinates the cycle of sleep and awakeness or alertness. And when we alter our light, we disrupt this rhythm. We disrupt the timing of the release of cortisol and melatonin. And especially in the evening, we get exposed to blue light and we get a second wind at night. We get wired but tired. That's cortisol at the most inappropriate time. And it gets worse over time. So with modern indoor lighting, we have less exposure to sunlight. The old incandescent bulbs were better. They had more red and infrared light. Now, energy efficient LED lights have much more blue light and no red or infrared. You see, the sun always emits a full spectrum of light, never just one wavelength, never really rich in one wavelength, and never isolated blue light. There's always a balance of light coming from the sun, and we've disturbed that balance with artificial lighting. The red and infrared wavelengths are the most dominant in natural sunlight. And what have we done? We've eliminated them from our artificial light bulbs. You see, humans evolved living under full spectrum light exposure. And modern light uses a very narrow spectrum of wavelengths of light. The LED lights, the halogen lights, the fluorescent lights have a whole host of problems that we're not going to talk about now, but they're weighted heavily towards the blue wavelengths. It increases cortisol, it suppresses melatonin, it drives inflammation up, it increases blood glucose, it causes the secretion of insulin at inappropriate times. It's a trend towards diabetes. It disturbs sleep. It interferes with immune function. And the list could go on and on and on. You see, we spend more and more time indoors under artificial light, under a narrow spectrum of light, under rich blue light, under light that's not as bright as the sun, and our timing is off. We get exposed to that light after sunset, and that tells our body that it's day even though it's night, and we're creating a mistiming, and our circadian clock is drifting further and further and further out of balance. And this light environment is very different from what we evolved to expect. Blue light exposure raises cortisol at inappropriate times. It stimulates a peptide called POMC, pro-opiomelanocortin, which raises cortisol, raises glucose, inhibits melatonin, disturbs sleep. This is the cycle that we're living under, and it's having devastating consequences. We've got increased stress in the body due to cortisol. And that elevated glucose is disturbing our metabolic balance. Like every other blood chemical, glucose should be in balance, and it should be released in response to need. And this interferes with every body function, specifically sleep, because at night, our brain is being told that it's daytime. Blue light should be signaling us in the morning. It should tell the brain that it's daytime. We should produce half our cortisol in the first 30 minutes of the day. It should shut down the release and production of melatonin. But at night, that same blue light is telling our nervous system that it's daytime. It's continuing the production of cortisol when melatonin should be on the rise. And this signal persists long after the sun sets. So what happens? The body delays its preparation for sleep, recovery, and healing. Sleep onset is delayed. We get that second wind late at night, and we stay up later. Sleep duration is impacted. Quality of sleep is impacted. Our recovery is inhibited. Inflammation goes up. And this goes on day in and day out without a break, because the only trend that we have over time is more and more time indoors, more and more artificial light. This is a signaling issue. It's not a disease. It's an environmental issue. The body was designed to work in sync with light and darkness, but we are giving it confusing signals. We are giving it the wrong light at the wrong time. We are signaling daytime when it's really nighttime. We are telling it to be awake when it should be coming in for a landing for sleep. This is not genetic. The rise of chronic disease in 100 years says not genetics. It's epigenetics. Epigenetics is lifestyle. It's environment. Remember the saying, genetics loads the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. And these conditions are what I would call lifestyle. And as a result of that, there is a rise of chronic degenerative illness in the past 100 years. Illness that is lifestyle related. Illness that is environmentally related. Illness that is epigenetic. And illness that is under your control. You have the ability to change your environment. You have the ability to alter your lifestyle because your body's just responding to inputs that it's receiving. This is stimulus response. You want a different response? Give your body a different stimulus. And what stimulus? Light is the single most powerful stimulus that syncs these thousands and thousands of processes in the body. Light's an environmental signal that the body has been programmed to respond to. Again, historically, evolutionarily, we lived in sync with the rhythms of lightness and darkness. And that refers to both light and dark. They are powerful signals to our biology. And we have altered those. We no longer live in sync. The nervous system responds automatically to light exposure with the production of hormones, neurotransmitters, peptides, prohormones, enzymes, thousands and thousands of chemicals coordinated with your syncing of light. This is not a personal failure. It's not a mistake. It's an environmental issue. It's a lifestyle issue. Rest assured that your body is working exactly as it was designed to. It's just getting messages that are mistimed. The issue is mismatched signals, not a broken system. So really all you need to do is start to bring those signals back into sync with what your body expects. So let's talk about what it is that you can do. How can you change this powerful stimulus of light? These changes aren't going to require you to learn anything complicated. It involves doing what you're already doing, just doing it slightly differently. So let's talk about what you can do. The single most powerful thing you can do around light is get outside at sunrise to help set your circadian clock. It's simple. Expose your eyes and as much of your skin at the rising sun. Look in the direction of the rising sun and spend as much time as you can out there, at least 10 or 15 minutes. Spend as much time outside during the day as possible. The light from the sun is brighter than any indoor lighting, and it's full spectrum, and your body needs those signals. Even on a cloudy day, the light from the sun is brighter than that from indoor lighting, and again, it's full spectrum. So get outside as frequently as you can during the day. Weather permitting, open your windows and allow natural sunlight in. Crack the windows in your car when you're driving. You see, window glass is designed to filter light, and we want that full spectrum light. It's what the body is expecting. You can go out and get full spectrum light bulbs. They will emit a much more natural range of light and get the brightest ones you can to use during the day when the sun would be outside and you're inside. Reduce your blue light exposure after sunset because blue light sends the message that it's daytime. Use amber or red lighting in the evening. Eliminate as much overhead lighting because that's the kind of lighting that comes from the sun and tells your body that it's day. You can buy blue blocking glasses when you're exposed to screens at nighttime. There's software called F.Lux and Iris that will change the light coming out of your computer to match the time of day. Reducing blue light helps the body prepare for sleep, and sleep is critical for every single body function. It's critical for you to express great health. It's critical for you to heal and recover. So you now understand why light matters, how circadian rhythm influences stress, sleep, energy, and the specific effects that blue light has on your body. You're also armed with a few simple strategies that you can start using today to support your circadian rhythm and reduce the unnecessary stress on your system. If you found any value here, like this video and share it so more people can understand how their environment influences their health. And I'm curious, I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below how blue light is affecting you, which change that you're going to start with first, and let me know the impact of that change. And if you want to keep learning how metabolism, hormones, light, timing, and daily environment shape your health, and how small practical changes can restore energy, clarity, and vitality, be sure to subscribe. And watch the next video where I'm going to go deeper into how circadian rhythm controls sleep, energy, and focus. Watch that video after this.